Hello Scorpio, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be looking at all three sides of the connection, your energy, their energy, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section will be looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. On that note, and especially if you're a cross watcher, just know that this whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that is totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Scorpio, let's jump on in. Let's see what we've got here. We're starting with overall energy through oracle cards first, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with tarot as we progress. So let's start here, Scorpio, with the overall energy for your side of this connection. Scorpio's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. They're needing to learn the most from. Unfinished business with shattered. Okay. We have optimism as the underlying. I feel like this connection brought a lot of hope for the future of what it could be for you. And I feel like you had a lot of expectations of how things were going to go, how things were going to develop. And I feel like those expectations were not met in the end for whatever reason. And I feel like we'll dive deeper into that reason as we progress in this reading. And I feel like what's hard is you're now left with this energy of feeling as if there is unfinished business. It's hard for you to let go. It's hard for you to move forward, even if you want to, because I feel like you're feeling almost like you lost an opportunity. Like there was potential, there was, so much hope for what this could be, and then feeling as if that wasn't reached has you kind of wondering, well, like, what if things would have gone differently? Did I miss out on the love that I deserve? Things of that nature. And that's completely normal, to feel that way. And hopefully this reading can help provide you with some clarity as you move forward. So let's look at this person's energy toward you, Scorpio. This person's energy towards Scorpio, please. Dead end. Ego. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this energy into words. If the potential of a connection is up here, right? But somebody's capacity to love and care for another person is down here, then the potential of the connection can't be reached because somebody is only showing up here, right? And I feel like this person, it's almost like the capacity to which they're capable of showing up for the love that they deserve, and this goes for anybody, not just this person, but for anybody. The extent to which somebody can love another person and can love another person well is 100% dependent on their connection to themselves, how much they're able to love themselves, how willing they are to heal, to not let their wounding make decisions for them, all of the things. And when somebody isn't doing that work, they're identifying heavily with their ego, so they're running from it. So they're protecting themselves from having to face the things that they don't want to face. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, connections, and in order to really develop a healthy, sustainable, deep connection, those connections require you to look at those parts of yourself. They pull out insecurities, they pull out fears, they pull out triggers and traumas. And the point of this is to help you heal and help you grow so you can show up better for yourself, so you can show up better for another person. But when somebody is so committed to not facing those parts of themselves, the capacity to which they're going to show up for you is going to be very limited. It feels like a dead end. It feels like when you try to commit further, when you try to take the connection to the next level, or when you try to deepen intimacy, it feels like there's always something like a invisible barrier that keeps getting hit. And what that is this person's ego. This person's ego is saying you can't go any further than this, because then you'll have to face the things that you don't want to face. And that, this person's ego is saying that to them. So with that being said, let's dive deeper into the truth of this connection between you and this person, Scorpio. Your soul still feels very tied to this person. You have this contract card. And I feel like your soul feels very tied to them. And it keeps you stuck in a cycle. Because you see this potential, right? They're only showing up as here. So in your mind, it's like, well, if this person can show up here, we're good to go, right? So maybe you try to do what you can to help this person show up here. And all I feel like that keeps happening is you find yourself feeling disappointed with how things end up. But then the hope of what the connection could be pulls you back in, cycle repeats. And I feel like this cycle that is existing within this connection is one that is very important to you, and a lesson that you're here to learn in this lifetime. So the goal is to break this down even further. I feel like we're already kind of getting a little bit deep and psychological right out of the gate, which for those of you who don't know, one of the things that I love the most about spirituality is the connection to psychology, and especially in terms of our relationship. So with that being said, let's dive deeper. Overall theme of this reading: what is Scorpio needing to know about this connection in order to move forward in alignment with their higher self? Commitment. This is what you're struggling with. This person's lack of commitment. Inconsistent commitment, commitment through the hard stuff. And I literally heard it. Never again, options are kept open. Commitment in a connection is about so much more than just commitment to another person. It's commitment to oneself, right? It's commitment to doing the work, to being willing to open up, to be vulnerable, to show up in the best way that you can, not just for the other person, but for yourself too. Because in order for you to receive the love that you deserve and desire, you must be willing to show up in the way that you desire to be loved, right? But when you're dealing with somebody who is protecting themselves from having to face the things that they don't want to face, you're dealing with somebody that, how do I put this? They're not committing to you because the commitment that would be required there would require them to do the things they don't want to do. But not in the sense of like not wanting to commit to you, but in the sense that commitment makes them uncomfortable because it makes them vulnerable. It opens that box that they're trying to keep all their stuff in and not face and not deal with. So with that being said, that's why I feel like this person has a tendency to maybe be very in and out, very wishy-washy, because they desire the connection, but when the connection pushes them into that level of vulnerability, as any connection is going to, it's something that they go, oh my gosh, this is uncomfortable, this is scary, and they push it away. They run, they sabotage, whatever. But then they start to miss it, because deep down they really do desire what this connection holds. So then they come back. They want to make it work. But then that ego kicks in. They hit that like barrier, and then they're like, oh, this is too uncomfortable. I don't want to do this. And then they withdraw, they remove themselves. And it's a cycle that keeps happening over and over and over and over and again and over again. And I feel like with this never again card, Spirit is saying that it is a cycle that needs to be broken. All right, Scorpio, your side of this unfinished business with Shattered. How is Scorpio feeling about this connection? What does Scorpio need to know about their energy toward the connection? All the stuff. every time you feel like you're making progress here with this person and with this connection, it kind of feels like you always end right back up in the same place, in the disappointment, in the shattered energy. Okay, Two of Pentacles. I feel like this is interesting because this actually feels a little bit unlike you, Scorpio. Two of Pentacles, the Star in reverse. It's like if it were anybody else, you know, acting this way or being this way, I feel like it would be easy for you to just be like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. But I feel like you keep coming back because it's them. It's this person, and you see, you know, so much potential in this connection, and they align so deeply with the things that you desire that it makes it really hard for you not to. Especially when you feel like there is progress that's being made. But then again, yeah, you always end up in the same place. Yeah. Nine of Swords. There's a lot of anxiety here associated with this connection. I feel like you never really know what this person's going to do, like how they're going to act, what the experience is going to be like. And you have this King of Wands with the Two of Cups. It could be a fire sign, which would be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. But I also feel like this is more about like anxiety about their behavior, anxiety about their actions. Because I feel like they're so unpredictable. This connection, yeah, it's so unpredictable that it keeps you, yeah, like wondering, how are they going to act? Are they going to stick around this time? You know, what are they going to say? How do they really feel about me? How do they feel about me today compared to how they felt about me yesterday? And that lack of predictability is incredibly draining. So I certainly can relate to that. Or can understand that. Let's get more here. I feel like what you want most out of this connection is security, which would come with commitment, right? The security of knowing that this person's going to choose you, that they're going to stick around, that they're going to act the way that you desire for them to act. But that security is something that maybe sometimes you feel in the beginning, but then as things start to develop, you feel that go away. Because in the beginning, it's like, I choose you, I want you, you know, I want this to work, like, let's make this work. But then when things get serious, when things get uncomfortable, then they withdraw, and you're back to feeling that lack of security. Because with the Sun in reverse, there is this energy of feeling pretty unhappy with how things are. And it feels like you know that they could be good, but how things are doesn't align with what it is you really want and deserve. Which again is where I feel like a lot of the anxiety comes from. The stress, like I feel like this connection stresses you the hell out. For sure. Okay, let's dive into this even deeper. This person's energy toward you. Ego with dead end. This person's energy toward Scorpio. Death in reverse. The Ten of Swords. Oof. The Three of Pentacles in reverse. Oh, okay. The Nine of Cups. I had an analogy come to mind that I feel like I need to say, but I'm hoping that it doesn't get taken the wrong way. There's a Seven of Pentacles in reverse. Let me get one more card. So this person So here you are, Queen of Cups. The Nine of Pentacles. That's confusing. They see you as wish fulfillment, but that's not how they act. This is so interesting because, like, I'm going to actually hold this as one message because I think that that's important back to back. It's like they desire this connection, but the way that they act does not act like they desire this connection. And I think that that's what makes things so hard for you is maybe you even know that those feelings are there. Maybe they've told you, maybe you can just tell, maybe you guys are connected on a deeper level. Like intuitively, you're just like, I know this person cares about me, but you know, the way that they act just doesn't align. And the analogy that came to mind when I was pulling cards was like, you know, you tell a little kid, you're like, you can have your favorite ice cream. You can have this ice cream. It's right here for you. You can have it. But you got to clean your room. If you just clean your room, you can have the ice cream. And the kid, you know, that you're dealing with, they refuse to clean the room. They refuse. But they continue to throw a fit about the fact that they can't get the ice cream. When it's simple. Do the work, get the ice cream. Do the work, get the prize. You know, but I think that what's interesting about human beings is so much of our decisions happen below the surface. 90 to 95% actually of our decisions, of the ways that we interact, of our behavior is subconscious patterning. So, you know, if somebody carries a lot of wounding in their life, trauma that has happened to them, or ways in which they've been taught that they're unlovable or unworthy or undeserving, that trauma, those experiences are going to be the driving force for their decisions. And it happens, again, 90-95% of it happens subconsciously, according to psychology. This isn't like a spiritual woo-woo thing. This is like literal psychological data to back that. There's psychological data to back this up. So when we get hurt, we bury those feelings of getting hurt. We don't, you know, most people, they don't deal with it. Some of us go to therapy. Some of us work through our stuff, maybe even later in life than others. But for the most part, most people are walking around burying their stuff and letting their stuff control them. So it's interesting because this person sees this connection, Nine of Pentacles and Nine of Cups. This connection aligns with what they desire. But in order for them to be able to have this connection, they have to show up for it. They have to commit to doing the work. They have to commit even when it's uncomfortable. They have to not run. They have to not hide. They have to not push away. They have to not sabotage, right? They have to do the work to make it happen, and they don't. But then they feel upset about the fact that they can't have what it is that they want out of the connection. And I think that that's so interesting, you know, when human beings do that, because we do have a tendency to go against our own desires, not from a place of doing it on purpose, but also because we are wired more to protect ourselves. That's what the ego is. The ego's primary goal is survival. So it does what it can to survive. It does what it can to control. And vulnerability is the ego's worst nightmare. It hates vulnerability. It hates letting go. It hates letting people in, because then you can get hurt, right? If you've been hurt a lot in the past, you're probably going to expect that. So you're going to do everything you can to protect from that. So this person withdraws. They never show up in the way that you deserve, but it's not because they're not showing up for you. Because here's what's interesting. If this person desires this connection, they see it as wish fulfillment, but they don't show up for it, who are they really not showing up for? Because it's not you. It's themselves. This person isn't choosing themselves enough to make the decisions that align with what's best for them. And that is what a lack of healing does. When we don't address our wounding, when we don't address the reason that we do the things that we do, those things are going to control us. And with the death in reverse, this person's very stubborn about it. So it feels like they kind of are maybe, and I've dealt with a lot of people like this, and I struggle a little bit with people like this. I struggle with a victim mentality. And the reason I struggle with it so much is because I used to have a pretty major one. I would be the victim of problems that I created. And I feel like that's similar to what this person does. It's like they make these decisions that go against what they desire. Decisions of pushing you away, or sabotaging, or, you know, not showing up in the way that you need. And then the connection doesn't work, and then they sit there and go, man, I'm so sad that this connection is not working, when so much of it could be fixed by them changing their behavior and changing their approach, making healthier choices and decisions. And I think what's really important for you to know and to understand is that the potential that we see in another person is something that everybody has access to. Everybody has the ability to be the best version of themselves. Everybody has the ability to show up in love in the best way that they can for another person, for themselves, whatever. But the ability to do that is 100% dependent on their willingness to do the work, on their willingness to face the hard stuff, on willingness to take accountability, on willingness to look within. And most people are not looking within. Most people aren't doing the work. Most people are running from themselves. And most people do this for lifetimes, because doing the work is hard. For anybody on a healing journey, for anybody who is addressing their triggering and their wounding and their patterns, can tell you it's hard. It's not fun. It's uncomfortable, and sometimes really, honestly, pretty hard. But it's always worth it, because it allows you to make decisions that align more with your healing instead of your wounding, right? So this person isn't committing to you because of you. This person isn't committing to you because you are not enough, or because if it's anything that you're doing or whatever. This person isn't committing to you because they're not committing to themselves enough to show up for what it is that they truly desire. So, I think so much of the time we ask cards questions, right? We want the direct answers. How does this person feel about me? What do they want out of this connection? But those questions don't really matter, because yeah, this person has feelings for you. Yeah, they want success in the connection. But what somebody wants and what somebody does to show up for what they want are two very different things. Somebody can claim to want success but not do anything about it, right? Somebody can claim to want to be healthy, to want to be fit, to want to feel good in their body, but they don't go to the gym, they don't eat healthy, right? So it's not about how somebody feels about you. It's not about whether or not somebody loves you. It's not about whether somebody cares about you. It's whether somebody is in a place in their life, on their journey, consciously, to do the work and show up for the love that they deserve, so that they can show up for what it is that you deserve. So when we're dealing with cycles with people who won't change, we have a tendency to take it very personally. We look at it from this perspective of like, oh, they don't love me enough, or they're a horrible person because they do all these things to me. And I'm not saying you shouldn't feel angry and that you shouldn't feel, frustrated with the fact that you're not receiving what you deserve. Absolutely, feel how you feel. Your feelings are valid. But separating your worth from the way that somebody treats you can really, really help you. And one of the things that I've learned is that people do not treat you how they value you. People treat you how they value themselves. And if somebody isn't doing the work to value themselves more, then that means that they are not going to value you the way that you deserve. And here's the hardest part. We cannot do anything to make somebody heal. We can't guilt them into heal. We can't or shame them into healing, or love them into healing, because yes, although you can heal within a connection and you can support each other on your healing journey, that has to still be a conscious individual decision. Somebody who says, I'm willing to go to therapy, I'm willing to do the work, I'm willing to look at my wounding, I'm willing to figure out what's going on. That is a decision that somebody has to make, and most people don't want to make that decision. They want to close off, they want to put it to the side, and they want to say la 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 la, and they want to just do the same thing over and over again and not do anything, be the victim of the consequences of their own actions. And it's frustrating and it's hard, especially when you love somebody. But there's always, when we're trying to get somebody to change, there is always something about us that we are needing to look at. Because the more that we show up we show up to love somebody who won't love us or won't choose us, the more we're not showing up for ourselves. And if our relationships with other people are a direct reflection of our relationship with ourselves, and we're not choosing ourselves or loving ourselves or valuing ourselves enough, then we're going to continue to attract cycles and experiences of people who don't love us, choose us, and value us. So I feel like there's so much of looking at like, well, what can I do to make this person feel a certain way or to love me or whatever? You can't do anything. But what you can do is take accountability for the way that you're showing up for yourself, and know that the more that we love ourselves the way that we desire to be loved, the more we're going to attract it, whether it's in this person or somebody better for you. So when somebody isn't committing to us, it's because they're not committing to themselves. But there's also always a mirror. So if somebody isn't committing to us, then it typically means that we aren't committing to us either. And I think for a lot of people, we have a tendency to overcommit to others and undercommit to ourselves. I think society has taught us that other people's needs and desires and feelings matter more than ours, especially for a lot of women out there. And I'm not saying you have to be a female for this to resonate with you. But I do think that so many of us have been taught that we need to do what we can to save, fix, and heal other people. But if we're trying to save, fix, and heal other people, but we're putting ourselves in a place of continuing to be wounded, then we're gonna drown trying to save somebody from drowning. And when that's the case, we have to look at the cycle. We have to look at what's going on. So the reason that you're so drawn to this person is because there is a cycle that's trying to bring to the surface something that's needing to be healed and addressed within you. So we're going to hop on over to the extended, and we're going to dive deeper into this, looking at the deeper purpose and the best way for you to move forward in alignment with your higher self. Any information for that is in the description box below. Thank you so much, Scorpio, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Scorpio.